Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We're just waiting for people to join in. Hi, everyone. Welcoming you to this webinar. Here we have some more joinees. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar. Hi there, everyone. We start in 2 seconds. Okay, let's begin. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to yet another exciting webinar from TeamLease Digital. Our today's topic is interesting and also something that everyone is going to talk about. So it's more to do with the future of work, future of people, future of digital people supply chain. Our today's topic is focused on our recently launched report on digital people supply chain, tech in non-tech. This report clearly outlines the growth of the tech job demands in India. And to discuss this report and the subjects around it, we have our esteemed panelists today with us who will share their views and opinion. Let us quickly begin by introducing each one of them while they let us know more. We have first with us Mr. Ramesh KV. Mr. Ramesh, Engineering Director for Ingersoll Rand Engineering and Technology Center, brings in more than 3 decades of experience in product development, R&D, and innovation. Ramesh, in his previous stints, has worked with General Motors and Maruti Suzuki, wherein he has contributed to the development of products and design. An out-of-box thinker with an exposure to global and domestic markets, Ramesh continues to foster a culture of innovation in business organizations with a focus on increasing productivity through operational excellence and lean processes. We welcome you, Mr. Ramesh, to this webinar. Next, we have Mr. Ajay Krishnakutty, experienced professional with more than 21 years of exposure in IT and ITES domains. Ajay has a strong acumen in talent acquisition and talent management. He's currently associated with Siemens Healthineers as the head of talent acquisition for the APJ region. Ajay holds an MBA in marketing and finance and has worked with organizations such as Legato, Concentric, and UST Global, implementing organizational capabilities, multi-layer development programs, and change management. Welcome to the session, Ajay.
Thank you, Munira.
Joining Ajay and Ramesh, we have Mr. Shrikant Padma, a veteran technology leader, experienced in building innovative solutions for projects in IT agility, customer experience, information management, and business challenges. Shrikant is currently head IT as Director for Northern Tools and Equipments. He focuses on excellence in leading people, change, and delivering results. With more than 3 decades of experience and executing multiple successful projects in the previous 28 years in the United States, while working with 3M, IBM, Thomson Reuters, and many others. Welcoming you to the session, Shrikant.
Thank you, Munira. Looking forward for a great conversation today.
Joining us, we have Mr. Sunil, CEO, TeamLease Digital. Sunil has 25 years of diverse industry experience. He's been in the staffing industry for more than 15 years and donned various leadership roles. As a CEO for specialized staffing with TeamLease Digital and member of the Indian Staffing Federation, Sunil is passionate about solving the digital people supply chain challenge to propel the India growth story. Sunil is also an ardent runner and has completed several marathons. Welcoming you, Sunil, as well to the session.
Thanks.
Without any ado, Sunil, please throw some light and understanding on what is this report all about and why is this report most essential in today's times?
Yeah, thanks, Munira, and thanks to all the esteemed panelists. With such a short notice, you guys were able to make time for us. This is a very important topic and a very close to heart topic for us. We have been observing what's happening in the market post-COVID. The digitalization cycle did kick off, and there was a huge hiring frenzy across the tech sector, and we witnessed things which we never witnessed, kind of salaries and kind of hirings. However, midst of this, there is also another sector which started booming. The tech in non-tech, which is going to be a misnomer soon, because I don't think there is any organization which is not a technology organization. So however, we will still continue to represent that as tech in non-tech. So all those organizations which are not core IT companies, we are calling tech in non-tech. So we said, let's understand in detail about what's happening in this sector, and let's assess and analyze how the talent strategies are evolving in these companies and what kind of opportunities are getting opened for the job seekers in this sector. So we did an extensive survey. We reached out to more than 700 plus organizations, understood what they are embarking on. So the results are very interesting. Almost all the organizations have embarked on the digital cycle or the digitalization cycle. Everybody strongly believed that there needs to be a last mile digital connectivity to their stakeholders, whether you take it customers or their agents or their suppliers. In every place, there needs to be a digital connectivity. So the organizations have to quickly ensure that they have their infrastructure in place to provide that last mile digital connectivity. Then they also understood that today's consumers are very intelligent, and they go by a lot of data. So they need to ensure that the customer behavior is assessed and analyzed on a regular basis, so that they can make corrections quickly and not go by the age-old survey model, where it would have taken a long time for the organizations to adopt to the changing trends and taste of the consumer. Similarly, for any decisions within the organization, organizations had to analyze with a lot of data, which we call big data, and there is data analytics and statistics which needs to be done. So they need to have people who can do that, and they need to have technologies which can do that. And the third important piece is that most of the organizations should have a long-term memory, and they should have data stored in a safe environment. So moving the data to cloud and making it easily available at a click of a mouse also became a priority. While doing all these things, the organizations also realize that security of the data is also very important, cyber security. So going by all these, I just mentioned few of the initial steps what organizations took, and immediately they realized that the existing talent which is there in the organizations will not be able to address these things or will not be able to help them. So they need to go out and hire new techies, who can come to the traditional organizations and help them in this entire digital transformation journey. So there came in the tech in non-tech, terminology, and they started hiring in slow numbers. You will be surprised to know that we have around 7.5 lakh techies in non-tech industries now. But based on our surveys and estimates, it looks like we are estimating that there will be 11 lakhs plus techies by 2028. So there is going to be a intensive hiring in the next 2 to 3 years in this sector. And we through this report, through this report known as Digital People Supply Chain Tech in Non-Tech that is what we christened this report. We try to bring to you a detailed analysis of few important industry segments or sectors where there is a large scale transformation happening. To name a few, BFSI and consulting, communication, media and technology, retail and consumer business, life sciences, healthcare, engineering, research and development, and energy, which is commonly known as ER&D, and resources. So these are the segments where we dive deep. We try to understand how are these organizations embarking on the digital transformation cycle, what kind of skills are they hiring, and what kind of compensations are they hiring. So when we analyze these through a series of surveys, physical, digital, and we also met a lot of talent, because we also need to understand what goes through a talent or candidate when he is joining a non-tech sector, being a techie, because everybody wants to be in the tech industry. And I just wanted to take a minute here to quote some figures. Actually in the IT sector, there are around 5.4 million employees. It just contributes to 0.8% of the total labor workforce of India, whereas it contributes 8% to GDP, which means that, while in the workforce it is very less, it is a very highly rewarding and highly paying sector. That is one of the reasons everybody who is in post 10th or 12th, they want to become an engineer and they want to look at IT sector. And that's one thing which our ancestors did well. They ensured that we have enough number of engineering colleges, so that we produce 1.5 million engineering graduates every year. And that's going to be a boon for India in the years to come, with the demographic dividend transforming into talent dividend, and with the infrastructure in place, we will continue to have a huge working population. And IT sector not doing currently well is not going to stop us from hiring more people in the non-tech sector, because non-tech sector is going to boom, and there are going to be a lot of open opportunities coming up for them. And are they paying well? Yes, they do pay well. And we through our report, we bring to you the salary levels for junior, middle and senior levels, at what they are paying and what are the salary levels a techie gets in IT, and they are comparable, they are not bad, and there is a career path which they can build there as well. So what I would like to tell my audiences is that there is a huge opportunity, and we just picked up 6 sectors, but across sectors, if you take healthcare, if you take logistics, every sector there is huge tech hiring which is expected to happen. And this is going to ensure that the job market is not as bad as what it is looking like, because we normally paint the job market with the IT brush. Everybody, when there is a slowdown in IT, we tend to believe that the market is not good, but that's not true. There is an opportunity which is going to come up in other sectors, like one of the sectors is tech in non-tech, and we should be prepared for that. So what kind of preparation is required for the job seekers to get a right job is also covered in this report. What skills are available, and we try to bring to you the key skills or the top 4 or 5 skills on which hiring happens. So once you go through the report, you will understand what are the kind of skills and what are kind of courses you need to take up, upskill, prepare, upskill yourselves, and ensure that you are ready for these jobs. We also are bringing to you which are the key locations where hiring is happening. And, most of you might be in these locations. If not, you can reach to these locations, nearby locations, because India still has not embarked on a situation where we take jobs to people. We still have a situation where people come to jobs, and that is going to continue for some time. And another interesting aspect what we notice is that, unlike IT sector where we just have 3% contract employment, here we see that there is 20% contract employment in the non-IT sector, and it is expected to grow to 26%. And the last important fact is about the participation of women in tech in non-tech is also pretty high, and there is a huge opportunity for women employees to get into this sector. So just to conclude that it's a very interesting report. It covers your opportunities which are going to come up industry wise, what skills are required, which locations, and what compensations you can expect. So I would urge all of you to go through this, and with this, I would want to open the discussions with our eminent panelists to dive deep into some of the key sectors and some of the changes what's happening in the marketplace, so that we can learn from their experience and expertise on how we should be prepared for these opportunities. Thanks, Munira.
Thank you, Sunil. Very interesting. I think our audiences would like to know, are there any such reports that have come up, or this is first of its kind?
This is a first of its kind. There are various reports on IT sector, and there is global reports which are there. Unfortunately, in India, our governments don't come up with such reports, and the availability of right data for our consumption is not easily available. So that's the reason we invested in coming out with this report. Both time, efforts, and money we invested to come out with this report, so that we can bring to our job seekers and even for our organizations on where they can look for talent pool, and at the same time talent candidates can look at where they can seek jobs in which sectors and at what compensations and which cities. So this is the first of its kind. Tech in non-tech report which we have launched is the first of its kind, and through this report we expect that we help build a strong digital people supply chain to cater to this sector.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sunil. Mr. Ramesh, let us take quickly your views while Sunil speaks about largely the growth in the engineering sector, and your career has been spent in this industry for long. What are the key three reasons you think that the growth of tech talent in your space the trajectory has moved up?
Thank you, Munira, for that. And Sunil, when you covered about the report and the situation very well, I think it gives a good idea, good background. I would say related to the engineering and related to the manufacturing machinery, which is I represent, right? There are the few areas which is driving the change. Okay, one is that I think even organization like ours, that we were into the digital space, but may not be as visible as before. We were still seen as a more of a manufacturing, industry, let's say mechanical and manufacturing industry, where we focus on our mechanical designs and develop the products to last forever. And that's the reliability, maintenance. Those were the things of the priority. But now, in the last few years, we have seen that with the industry 4 coming into prominence, and a lot of our end customer want us to connect our equipment directly to their system. And that's one aspect. And the second aspect is that, about our ability to service our customer better than how it was used to be before. With a lot of installation going on, a lot of, our resource crunch in most of the developed countries, we have to be more efficient. That requires us to know our equipment better, and, we should have that information in hand. And moreover, in a lot of the, our products, technologies are going up in terms of complexities that require a lot more knowledge with the people. And as you can understand, and also, as most of the industries are moving from an individual competence and dependence to a team competence. That means, you should have a systems and processes and everything to know the product well, product performance, and then provide a solution quickly. So for all the things, the IoT is helping us a lot. which requires, again, digitalization, the product itself to enable the IoT, like is there, embedded controls and connected devices, connected sensors. All this require a lot more emphasis. And because of that, these changes is happening very rapidly. Nowadays, our kind of products like compressor tools and other things are sold based on the digital capability more than the price or the performance. Of course, performance is important. Like energy efficiency, all the things, because we are all, ours and many other companies are signed up for environmental and social governance, right? We're making a very big commitments. And these are possible only with the connected equipments, and which we can operate and maintain well, and also know well that how well this operate and which can be brought back into product designs. So all these changes are driving a lot of our demand, for our tech resources who are into IT, software, and controls area. In fact, we talked about the market and everything. Actually, our situation is different. We are still in a big hiring way. Of course, our scale is different from IT industry, right? Because we cater for our own requirements. But we are in a hiring because this is the time for us to invest further, continue to invest and do that. And more into that, like if you talk about our global organization we have, right? The availability of the resources in Western world is becoming a little bit difficult. Then we have to choose that, what kind of work we need to do with the resource available there. It's not about only cost issue. Of course, we are much more cost efficient. I agree, I recognize. But it's more about that availability of the right resources. So we use our available resource to do the more front-end job, which is, which require customer interaction with the machines. So those things, very difficult to do remotely. Of course, with the IoT4, we can move a lot of things here, but not everything. So that also drives us to get into the development into the technology areas.
Thanks, Ramesh. I think a very valid point which you mentioned, saying that manufacturing or R&D has always been there. In fact, it's a backbone of our country and nation today as well and in the future. But one of the things very important, it has always been a very silent industry. It has been an industry which has not been into a complete limelight or a digital brand building kind of a focus. And I think this push, whether we talk about the COVID aftermath or whether we talk about the last 10 years of how the industries have changed or how your customers are expecting the connect to happen, it has actually boosted the complete upward growth of the organization, more from an aspect of people, the processes that we build in, and then the systems that we kind of implement. So interesting to know. Coming to you, Ajay, I think healthcare, if we see, one of the most, again, important silent industry, which kind of really upgraded itself. One of the only industries in COVID that kind of changed the entire the way the nation or the way the global countries are going to look at healthcare as a space. How digitization, has impacted the growth of health tech, and what are the roles, that healthcare now, which is called as more health tech, is going to impact the future as well. So please share some insights.
Thanks, Munira. Munira, it's not a silent industry. It's been an evergreen industry, if I put it that way.
That's right.
Whatever happens, it's always been very resilient. And secondly, last couple of years has actually made the government and the other people realize how important this industry is to the world, right? So, and if you look at I'm going to be giving some figures before I answer that. If you look at the amount of money that government is going to be investing on the healthcare tech, is going to be translating into a lot of this tech and non-tech industry in the next couple of years, right? If you look at our union budget, this year we have actually kind of decided to go with around $10.2 billion pounds actually for the healthcare budget itself. Just for the Ayushman Bharat Health, we have some 8 billion which has been invested. National Health Mission is investing on top of that another $4.88 billion for FY23. Medical tourism is actually on a rise. We are a country which almost makes around $7,500 million a year just by the medical tourism industry. So if you put together all of these things along with our infrastructure development, which are being promised by the government, a lot of these things are going to be translating into the tech in the non-tech industry. And when I say tech in non-tech for medical, we look at healthiness as a company. We have our R&D division, which still has quite a lot of job openings where we are hiring. But remember that we have a factory also, right, where we are actually manufacturing other equipments like MRI machines and other things. So with the COVID, we also realized as a country that the entire world is also looking for a second destination other than China from a manufacturing sector, so that we actually take away the importance of China, because we all went through our the supply chain issues when the COVID was happening. So that's also on the rise. So if you look at overall, the tech industry on the medtech side is going to be going up quite significantly, Munira. Again, a lot on digitalization, to be honest with you, because that's where most of the things are revolving around that right now. And you're talking about the latest of technologies. I saw one question popping up: should I be upgrading my technology when you're looking into? Let's take domain agnostic. If you look at any domain that we are all operating in, when we go to digitalization, the customers are expecting the best of digitalized products from all of us. And when you need the best of products, automatically we need the best of technologies too. So don't keep stopping to learn the better technologies and whatever is prevailing in the market now. And I'm assuming, and like I mentioned in the beginning, right, medtech is going to be creating quite a bit of job openings year on year. But next 3 to 4 years seems very, very positive from an India context because of the investments the governments are doing. A lot of new GCCs are coming to India, which are specifically medtech, right? If you look at the last 3, 4 years, the competition has increased quite a bit. So that's definitely going to be adding quite a bit of jobs onto this side too.
Yeah, just to add on to the question what Mundra asked, Ajay, there is always people keep complaining that we always follow the West when it comes to research in medical field. So are there enough investments being made in India now for making research in India and tech in India in healthcare?
Absolutely, Sunil. I'll put my company's example itself there. In Healthineers, we have somewhere around 68,000 people working across the world. India contributes to 60% of the codes which are being created for the entire machines which are running across the world. We are investing 200 million pounds in our Bangalore center as we speak. We are creating our own center in Bangalore. So forget everything else. The companies are investing quite a bit on India, and R&D is very strong in India. So whatever said and done, most companies, predominantly, if you look at most big companies, they have a significant R&D presence in India. Though, like Munira mentioned, they are very silent in terms of saying about that, and a lot shy because they don't want the information to be going out, because there's a lot of proprietary knowledge being taken care in these centers. We are very silent because we know the space that we are working in is a very tight-knit space, hardly 2 or 3 competitors. So it's a very guarded area that way. But end of the day, companies are investing quite heavily. And healthiness is just one example of that.
That's great to note, because otherwise we are known as a nation of doers, not thinkers. At least in this space, in terms of research and R&D. But now quickly, what we get to hear is that because of the talent and the skill availability, most of the research and development are happening in India. It's good to note, and obviously we move up the value chain in terms of talent, and that's a boon for India.
Absolutely.
Shrikant, you've been working a lot with people, teams across globes. We are now looking at a combination of technology to technical. How are organizations considering when it comes to integrating the technology to their overall business strategy and kind of look at applicants, bridging the gap between the technology and the technical expertise required? Are there challenges?
I mean, there are obviously challenges, and let's face it, right? It is far more glamorous on paper to work for a tech company, right? But technology has become part of the overall business strategies. A couple of examples which directly relate to the business strategy, right? So data and analytics. So we all talked about COVID. We all talked about supply chain. How do you make decisions in a fast, rapid changing environment, right? Where there's significant amount of risk to every decision you make. So data and analytics has become that key tool, right, for the businesses to make that decision. So it's being woven into the overall strategy of, hey, how do we move these enterprise levers, right? When do we move it? In which direction to move it? And obviously, e-commerce is the other area where, it brings you that customer intimacy, focus on your products, right? Generating other revenues, understanding customer behaviors and things like that. And then the adoption of cloud, right? Which can have a profound impact on letting you focus on solving business problems, increasing your IT agility and things like that. Of course, operational security and resilience capabilities are key to ensure systems are secure, stable, and perform optimally. But overall, there are lines now that can be drawn directly, right, on weaving these technology decisions and technology strategy into a business strategy. So it's a good time for somebody to be a CTO and even a CIO at this point, because selling was difficult in the past, right? With COVID, it has pushed a lot of organizations into adopting technologies because now your customers are remote. What options do you have, right? So it has pushed technology into forefront, pushed up the value chain. It's not a back office, something that gets done beyond four walls in an isolated area. But, we are getting seat at the table now. The conversations have become easier. Just to add a couple of points to what Ajay and Ramesh were sharing, as we are becoming hubs and destinations for pharma industry, right, for manufacturing industry, people are experiencing that the talent is there in other areas as well, right? So it is becoming a lot easier to absorb that tech talent as well. So if I were a candidate looking for a job, I would target GCCs rather than these tech companies, because the purpose is apparent, right? I mean, you're thinking different, so all those things like an added value instead of just doing tech for tech, right? So how does tech actually enable business, right, to be successful? Those kind of things you can experience only with GCCs and these non-tech companies, so that it's a good time to be looking for a job, because there are a lot of GCCs that are being set up as well, right, at this point. So we are a little bit isolated from what happens in US. So if you read news, or people in US are experiencing it firsthand, but we're still experiencing some distance from all those. And so we should not panic. These are all cyclical events. Things like this happen every 10 years, and we come out winning, and we come out in much better shape in lots of different ways. And again, about our company, we are a retailer, right? So e-commerce is our bread and butter. We are very intimate with our customers. We do not have a choice. Of course, we have other channels as well, but e-commerce is one way of being close to the customer and understanding their buying patterns, what is going on, and how do you take all that and feed it into your product innovation. It's all and these GCCs in India are not being set up as delivery centers or shared services centers or as operations. They are part of one global team. I mean, we are set up that way. I talked to many other GCC leaders. Most of them are setting up their GCCs as global teams, where a leader could be here managing teams in both India and US, or a leader could be in US leading both the teams. So it is more of one geography, two teams, or two geographies, one team, right? So that's the mindset that GCs are having. So.
Very, very interesting points you made, Srikanth. First one is that India moving away from GDC to GCC, Global Delivery Center or Global Shared Services, to Global Capability Centers. Very important point to note, because our capabilities are moving up. There is a recognition on the talent available in India as thinkers and as higher order level position. So that's one important point which I could note from your discussion. And the second one is that whatever happening in US is not going to impact India immediately. So we could very easily term it as this is just a passing shower and not a climate change. Yeah. Thank you so much, Srikanth, for that.
Yeah.
And Sunil, just to add one point there, right? If you look at what's happening in US, it's in a way helping India in terms of bringing back some of the talent that we lost to. So we are seeing quite a bit of people who are in US and other locations who has got laid off, and because of certain constraints, they're coming back to their home turf, right? And we have been crying quite a bit about brain drain for the last so many years. I think we are slowly getting some of the talent. We were also looking at some of the people when we were hiring for India, and we could get a few people from that. And that's the pool of people who are practically bringing a lot of domain knowledge back to us, right? And that's going to be helping us in a different way. I know it may sound very dark at this point of time, but in a way that's going to be helping India in terms of scaling up to the next level when it comes to creating that capability centers that we are looking at rather than shared services.
Why not? Fully agree with you. I think we had a huge brain drain for last many decades, but the future 3 decades, we expect that there is no brain drain because there are enough opportunities in India so that people can stay back. And 2 is that jobs will move to India. Along with jobs, some of our own people will also move to India. So very interesting points you make.
Yeah,
absolutely. In fact, add to what Srikanth said, right, about in the 2 locations and 1 team. I mean, this is happening, I think, in a lot of in the industry, lot of units. In fact, in specifically our case, there are some competencies all available only in our engineering centers here. It's not available anywhere. That means any product development, any activity, these team are integral part of the product development team. They work just like one team. I mean, that's how the things are moving over the years.
Right. I mean, so a lot of times they say that people don't leave companies, people leave leaders, right? So as I transition back to India to set up this GCC, there's an exceptional talent of leadership. I was very surprised, pleasantly surprised by the quality of leadership that India has developed over a period of time. So, now it is on those leaders, right, on how to engage, how to talk about the value and purpose to the employees, because I think employees have moved beyond compensation, in my experience at this point, right, of staying with a company, looking for jobs. I mean, we have to articulate what is the value that they'll be providing, what is the purpose, right? It's no longer a number game of how many employees you have, but how much value are you providing to your organization?
True, very true. Very true.
Interesting conversation. I think I want to put a question, since all the panelists are speaking about a lot of jobs, and Srikanth also mentioned good time to look out for new jobs. So my question to Mr. Ramesh and Srikanth is, while we speak about a lot of jobs and talent availability, then why is there a demand gap? Do you see a demand gap? And my following question to Sunil and Ajay would be, how can this demand supply gap in this tech talent to non-tech space can be addressed, and what are organizations doing about it? So let's first hear from Ramesh and Srikanth on their views on why is there a demand gap and why so?
Yeah, great question, Manira. And I have to say, answer is yes. There is a gap, and we try to slice it into different reasons why we get into that. And the prominent one is about the how the employees look, like tech employees look at non-tech companies like us, that what is the future here. I think there is a less awareness in overall in the job market about how non-tech companies can provide a very challenging work environment and technologically challenging opportunities for the people. And I think that's the awareness is the number one thing. And the second thing, as already Sunil said also before, right? Every engineer, when come out of the college, they look at their dream is to go to a tech company. I think that thinking, somehow need to change. And individually, we are also doing a lot of things, bringing awareness and everything. But one thing I can tell you that, I mean, once people join us, our attrition rate is pretty low, a fraction of what you see in the industry. Where you can say,
absolutely.
I can say mid-single digit.
Yes.
I mean, once joined, but our biggest challenge is that how to attract the best talent to us and motivate them to come and join us.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. See, it's the mindset. I would say that, as I explained earlier, our ancestors did few good things. One of them is to set up a lot of engineering colleges across the street. Everywhere we have a huge engineering college set up, and that helps us to produce 1.5 million engineering graduates every year. And that in a way becomes the talent supply or digital talent supply. However, there is a notion that, it's the IT industry where they need to get into. I think instead of thinking about IT industry, they should think that I need a tech job, and tech job can be in any company. As we keep saying now, tech in non-tech is a misnomer. Tech everywhere, so there is no organization which is not a technology organization. So if you want to build your career in technology, there are a lot of opportunities. There are GCCs, there are traditional companies which are embarking on digitalization cycle. So there are a lot of opportunities. So as a country, I don't think we have a problem of talent. It's only a problem of having the right skill and the right understanding of where the jobs are available. So one is through various events and various activities, we are trying to spread that if you want to be a techie and if you want to build a career in technology, you have multiple options. IT industry is just one segment. There are other industries, like you all explained. Healthcare is there are GCCs, there is industrial, there is retail, there is logistics. In all these organizations, you can still be a techie and build your career. Two is that the other larger problem we have is the skill gap. Are they ready to pick up a job in these industries? That's something I would like to hear more from you, and then maybe I can give my perspective at a later stage. Yeah,
Sure.
But maybe just add to me one more thing to that what Sunil you said. I mean, really seeing that in the non-tech industry can give opportunity on the technology side, just like any other tech industries. Okay, I think these industries are very advanced and getting further into that. But additionally, another area the non-tech industry can provide is a domain expertise. With a lot of experts sitting in the company, that transition take place. And generally, when we look for a resource, we don't look at the domain expertise. We know that we have it, we can train them and transfer the knowledge. So to me, it's a greater advantage.
And so in a lot of ways, we are also victims of our history and journey, right, on where we are. We've always had this service provider mentality, right? I mean, even if you look at how IT has been set up, I mean, we were primarily service providers, right? A lot of people who have worked for even for a decade in with some of our service providers, they're providing service. They're not understanding the business. They don't know the value of what they're doing, just like a cog in the wheel, right? I mean, those are the operations. Now, DCC have come here and they want you to understand their business. They are trying to tell you what value and all that, which is different. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for techies to understand, that, okay, this is different, right? My journey with GCCs or people, the businesses who use technology as an enabler is going to be different. So that is one. The other one is, I came here because I was told that there's abundance of technology, right? And then I quickly realized that, there's also that you have to adopt that hire, train, then put them to work kind of approach, right? I mean, because your industry is different. People are more used to providing service, not necessarily talking with business. You want people, our engineers, to talk with business, understand their pain points, their values, right? And so our operating model is also a product operating model where our product owners are business. So you don't have a choice, right? But to talk to business and understand. So, and we are not a DIY crowd here. We don't use tools. One of my pain points is like, for example, the data comes in, the hammer is like $50. The hammer can be $50 because it's a hammer, right? I'm just giving an example, but catching those kind of anomalies in data is very difficult for people here because they just don't use hammers. A lot of people still call a carpenter today, I'm assuming, right, to drive a nail in the wall. So I think, we are getting away from it, but, those are some of the challenges. The third point is, people need to realize that even the tech companies are businesses. They need a CRM system. They need a supply chain system. They need all of the things that a non-tech company uses for their business purpose. So as you join a tech company, you may not be on the product innovation side. You may be in what a non-tech company does, because there are a lot more openings on that side. You have to have that exceptional talent to get into that product innovation side. Most of the people don't get onto that side. Most of the people are stuck on that business, operating as a business side, even in a tech company, right? So
yeah,
I just want to add over there, like from the crowd who is going to be getting into that function of, or rather the tech crowd who wants to go into the non-tech industry as techies, right? One is don't run behind the glamour. That's something which is very critical, because all of us would age, we will have our wrinkles coming in, skin would sag, but end of the day, brain functions similar across industry. So that's one critical step. Second is running behind money, right? The tech industry is a bubble when it comes to business, and like you rightly mentioned, everybody is running a business, and when businesses is being run, there's a limit to which a business can spend, and post which the importance of India as a lower cost destination would slowly start fizzling out, and we have to be very careful there. So this entire myth of making more and more money in the tech industry is just a bubble that may get burst any point in time, because that's meant to happen some point in time. I think we are getting closer to that bracket as we speak right now, unless otherwise we actually have our capabilities being strongly acumen, right? If you are giving the same services but we keep increasing our cost, there is a limit to which a business can run. Otherwise we'll turn out to be retailers with wafer thin margins to be running, right? So that's one. The third being openness to kind of learn new stuff, right? When you are getting into the newer domains, like Ramesh rightly mentioned, domain knowledge is the best knowledge out there. For people like us who are in the call, I've been in the healthcare domain for the last 20 years. There is something that you actually gain. It's the technologies will keep changing around you, but if you carry your domain knowledge properly, then you are in a lot more safer side of your industry and your best practices. So, like figure out an industry where you want to put your effort onto, and then keep learning that. Rest everything will be very dynamic in nature. So that's my sense, and Munira, that actually kind of translates to what we are looking for, right? And you are combining all the 3 or 4 entities put together, along with a lot of patience from the people. I think we actually get there as an industry together.
So what I could get from this discussion, what I take away is that building one's domain skills and openness to get onto any industry as a tech is very key for building a long-term career ambition for anybody, or career goal for anybody. And once somebody builds a domain expertise along with being a techie, they have better stickiness, or their careers are much more fruitful, is what I get to hear from.
Absolutely, Sunil.
Yeah.
So Ajay, adding to your point, I think it's an interesting message to our audiences, largely the applicants and these young job seekers. Please also share what are the core tech and non-tech skills that today would be beneficial for someone to learn, unlearn, and constantly upgrade to kind of see a career growth in any of the non-tech space.
Munira, tech, I would not even answer that, because every 2 days tech keeps changing. But end of the day, anything which is object oriented, let me just answer that, and maybe Ramesh and Srikanth would be the best person to answer. As long as your fundamentals are right from a technology standpoint of view, you can pick up technology. So your object oriented programming, whatever you are doing right now, get your fundamentals right, because the versions would keep changing, technology would keep changing. Next year we may be on something entirely different from a technology standpoint of view. So tech side, I don't want to give a schema in terms of what are the best ones. If you are actually doing something good, keep doing. Sharpen your saw is what I keep saying everybody that I meet when you are actually kind of doing that. From the non-tech side, it's mostly the behavioral aspects, right? If you look at people whom we are getting in the industry, communication is very key. Again, going back to what Sunil said, we may be producing 15 million STEM graduates in a year, but how many of them are really employable is a question that we need to ask ourselves. So making sure that our basic communication arithmetic is right. I know that Britain is going through a very big change in terms of do we need to teach math in a better way, right? I think math is critical because most of us are doing jobs which may actually have coding involved, and when that's involved, your basic math and everything has to be correct. So communication is key, and attitude, right? Attitude we can't teach. That's something that people pick up on the way and do things like that. So I would pause there. Actually, I want to hear from others, but tech is something which is very fluid, Mir. I don't think we should not even go into that category because that's something that, like two years back, what I was hiring versus what is now, is completely changing the industry.
Right. And so when I'm looking for candidates, typically I'm looking for two things right at the top. One is, do they have they worked at a retailer before, right? Because like having worked at a retailer, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, you get with that business knowledge, you get the terms and all that as you interact with business. So that's number one. Number two is, data and analytics is key. I mean, everybody is after data, right? The tech stack doesn't matter. Tech stack changes every year, 2 years, new things come, old things go. So it doesn't matter, but you develop that mindset of how to protect data, right? How to source data, how to make the data available and things like that. The second one is e-commerce. Right. Again, the tech stack doesn't matter, but having built e-commerce applications gives you a way of how do you interact, how do you capture customers, how do you look at things? So that's the other one. The last one is just the general cloud, right? I mean, it doesn't matter which cloud provider it is. Just knowing that how to take advantage of the elasticity these hyperscalers provide, right? How do you do automation, right? How do you focus on solving business problems rather than thinking of it as an infrastructure? It's a huge change. I mean, so those are the three key areas, right? I would advise candidates to kind of focus their career on at this point.
And interestingly, the report research findings also point out very categorically what Shrikant you mentioned about the tech skills largely and the soft skills which Ajay pointed on in terms of communication, creativity, and decision making. Sunil, I want to understand from you, the report speaks about where 46% of the respondents and employers have opted for a flexible hiring mode for the tech talent and non-tech sector. What are your views? Is this ratio going to increase as we grow ahead in the future?
See, the talent strategy is changing for across the organization. Gone are the days when we can only look forward for a permanent job in any industry for that matter, because there is a combination of different kind of contracts which are available. One can be the permanent employment contract, which was very prevalent in the past during our earlier career days. Then you have a contracting engagement where it is a flexible contract. Then you have a gig, and you also have consulting opportunities. So all of these kind of contracts are going to coexist in a talent strategy for our organization, and each of these talents are used for different categories, and some of them there is also overlap, and the organizations in the non-tech industries also adopt for a flexible workforce because they need talent as of yesterday. Most of the time you can't wait for long, and you don't have a huge workforce like the services organization where you are always having few people sitting on bench, or there is a huge talent availability. You can pick from one project and put the other project. But most of these tech in non-tech or GCCs, what you say, they are hiring for their own product innovation, product development, so they can't go overboard on hiring. So they need to very carefully plan their talent strategy, and they need to work towards having a certain set of employees who are a permanent roles, and they need a huge or a larger set which is going to be flexible, and where the technologies change fast. There are different talent strategies, and then they also need some consultants and some gig workforce who come as a tactical strategy. So I foresee that the future of work or future of talent is going to be a different model altogether, from what it is now. And this is the transformation which will not happen tomorrow. It's a transformation which will happen over a period of next 1 decade or so. And we have seen such transformations which have happened in the evolved economies. In India also, we are on that route, I would say.
Great. Okay. We have a few questions. So in the interest of time, I'm going to kind of, merge the questions that we have from the audiences also. And the question is largely one for Ramesh and Ajay. How important it is for one to have a degree or certification for a tech role in a non-tech space?
Okay, I think, the qualification provide you with the strong fundamentals, right? I think we know that some of the, particularly in the current, state, lot of universities and colleges are customizing their courses suitable to a specific industry or specific technology. So it helps. But that, when at least when we hire, that is not the most important thing we look at it. Okay, we look at the skill, the specific domain skill, or even process skill or tool skills, whatever we want. And we have seen that there are people, who after the college, they go for a specialized courses. When we talk to the candidate, we find them more suitable than even somebody else, even who was, say, a couple of years or 2-3 years of experience. So it's, more than the qualification, it's more about what they know, how best they are into that. And as Ajay said before, most important is the individual, capabilities, as how well they can communicate, their ability to connect with the different people, their ability to, you can say, manage a difficult situations. So these are things normally in our kind of industry they encounter while interacting with the people in different part of the world.
Neera, I would actually answer that question in two ways. If you're already working somewhere and you're going for a job, your degree honestly doesn't matter. Whether you are a 10th dropout or a PhD doesn't matter, because then most of the organization would be evaluating based on what you are bringing onto the table from the experience from your prior employer, right? As for the students which are coming out directly from the colleges, I am not a big fan of what colleges they are coming from, what are their degrees, because now the students that you're finding in the market are also people who are learning quite a bit on their own. They are a lot more like learning through YouTube and other channels. So I've seen, like, for example, civil engineers who may be brilliant on the coding side. So I would keep that aside. I will give an advice to the organization, which is to keep degrees away and evaluate based on competencies, because you never know, people may surprise you in terms of like somebody who may be even a diploma holder who could be brilliant coders than somebody who may be coming out of an IIT. So these are individual capabilities. I think degree is more of secondary. People competencies is what we will be looking at.
Sunil, let me ask you quickly, in the interest of time, we have just another 2 questions. Skilling is equally important while we see that there is a demand skill gap along with demand supply gap. Are organizations or institutions doing enough to bridge this gap? While we have the new education policy in place and now we have wider subjects happening, what is it required in the current need of the hour?
And it's so yeah, Sunil. So sorry, Sunil, go ahead.
Please go ahead.
No,
Absolutely fine.
Yeah. So I just had that lengthy conversation with HR, so it is very apt. So organizations are kind of trying to do, but what I told my HR is, right, it shouldn't be that we should have like a curated courses and all that. The L&D has been democratized now. Why are the tech people not going and signing up for a free subscription? Because a lot of hyperscalers provide you with a free subscription. Why are they not experimenting there? right? So, Sunil, I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, my answer is in similar lines. See, there are today we are all very lucky. Everything is available on the World Wide Web. It's just a click of mouse, and a lot of those are available free of cost. And it's the interest of the candidates or interest of the job seekers, and not only job seekers. Even if you are working somewhere, you should be a lifelong learner now to be relevant. Today, if I go and say that I don't know what is AI, I don't know what is low code, no code, then I can't speak to my customers. So I have upgraded myself on all these new technology. The moment ChatGPT came, I went and researched that what it is and tried few things on it and understood so that I can have a conversation. So and also I am taking some certifications simultaneously, because we need to be relevant in the market. And you can't say that I have studied 25 years back, I have graduated, or I have did a master's in engineering, and now I don't need to read. The technologies are ever evolving, very dynamic, and you need to change. There is a lot happening at the macro level. The new education policy, as you rightly mentioned, the industry, academia, and the industry, academia, and colleges, and all of them are collaborating together to rework on the curriculum so that they are taught right courses, so that when they come out of the colleges, they are at least employable. Today, you have a employability gap. A graduate who passes out, when you put him onto a job, what he studied versus what he is going to work on are two different technologies. Or there is absolutely no connection. So it takes 8 to 9 months for that individual to be productive. So which leaves a huge unemployed freshers. Just the tech industry hires only 25% of the 1.5 million who pass out because of these reasons. But tomorrow, with the macro level changes, the government has very well recognized that there is a gap, and they are doing skilling initiatives. As Ajay mentioned, that in the new budget there are a lot of provisions for AI and other new skills which they are doing. And the NEP, once it gets rolled out in all the states, I'm sure that you will have much more talented workforce who are coming out of the colleges. The companies or the organizations will spend less time on initial finishing kind of a investment what they do. But my advice to one and all is that we need to continuously upgrade ourselves. I would rather put it as repair, prepare, and upskill, because we come with some learnings, and we can't hope that these learnings will help us to be work for next 2 or 3 decades. It's not the case. We need to upgrade. And as our life expectancy is also going up year on year, so I think every year I read somewhere that our life expectancy is going up, and Indians are expected to live for 90 or 100 years. So what are you going to do? You need to upskill on an ongoing basis so that you are relevant. So to answer your question, I think you need to repair, prepare, and upskill on a continuous basis to be relevant and be ready for the opportunities which are coming your way.
Great, Sunil and Shrikant. I'll request for just another few seconds while we have, hit our timelines. Just an important question, which is one of the key topics in our research paper, which is women in tech. The data says that we have, out of the 5 million direct workforce, tech, only about 1.8 million people are women. But significantly, out of the tech woman employment space, we have almost 79% employed by the non-tech space. What do we do, and how are we going to increase the participation of women workforce in tech roles in non-tech space? Any views? Have you seen this ratio increasing in the last 2 years in your own organizations or in the network framework that you work around? I mean, I'll leave it open to all to give their views, please. An important topic.
I'm more colorblind to this one, right? Because I'm looking at the resume, I'm looking at what is coming to the table rather than who's sitting across my table, because it really doesn't matter, right? I think, so it's more on leadership, right? In thinking that way and making sure that others are thinking that way as well. So that, we harness, the talent that everybody brings to the table, right? Otherwise, 50% of the population, right? We're not utilizing. How can we harness, that population as well? So there's a lot
Ajay,
of
asking
opportunity.
you, diversity is, I'm sure, one of the very important subjects that you've been practicing. What are your views?
So Munira, straightforward view actually. One organization have to invest in that one for sure. Since IT becomes slightly difficult, we have been practicing this for the last 25 years. It becomes very difficult to correct some of the mistakes that were done in the beginning of the thing. I think it's from a tech in the non-tech industry, which is, I would say, it's a new bubble which is starting to actually expand as we speak. It's a great place for the companies to kind of invest on making sure that, because the diversity is something that will get corrected only if you put your right energies onto that. So the companies who are getting into that space, making sure that women are represented very clearly out there. Automatically, there's an issue in the funnel also, right? Like Sunil mentioned, if you look at the STEM graduates which are coming out of our universities, there itself it's a skew. There are only 25% of the 1.15 million that we are looking at who are women in the thing. So unless
but it's changing fast now. This year we notice that the number of enrollments have gone up. So again, you are right. It might take some time for us to see the change in the output.
Correct. So, Munira, for example, one of the initiative that we did is when we are hiring graduates into our company, we are now going with 50-50 ratio. If women and men are representing rightly in the company, our entry levels are also kept in the same way. So this year, when we onboarded all our graduates, we made sure that it was a 50-50 representation. I think companies should slowly get into that mind space, because if you get your entry level corrected, automatically the rest of the things will fall into place. What happens later is a different ball game altogether. But that's an energy that the management need to put their heads into, and then making sure that we put some strict guidelines onto us in terms of where we need to be headed with that one.
Ramesh, while we have the higher population, as Sunil also mentioned about the STEM participation workforce, but do you think that while Ajay says that we are trying to aim at a 50-50 and achieving that in engineering organizations, how far are we, or how away are we from that?
Yeah, I think in the engineering organization as well, particularly on the techies in the non-tech, like our industry, this is one area we are actually experiencing a quite good success in getting higher diverse candidates in the entry level. Okay, when you go to a more experienced or product domain, that become more challenging. But as Ajay pointed out very precisely, you have to start from the first level entry point. Then provide an opportunity for those talents to grow and give opportunity to get a better exposure to the senior leaders, so that they get a better confidence, higher confidence, and they grow and do well. And there are so many diverse candidates. You can see that they are doing quite well. So it's all about changing how we start looking at the CVs. To all the way to selecting the candidates. I think there's a great opportunity to bring a significant change here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Sunil, please give us some concluding remarks, and when can we see the report?
Yeah, so the report has gone live. The media has already been informed about this report launch, and we also have just given a link during this webinar so that people could download. We already see a lot of downloads happening, and I think I have gone through this report, and it has come out very nice with a lot of facts and figures. All the hard work we all have put together is actually helped us to showcase about this tech in non-tech, what's happening, what skills, what opportunities lie, and through this webinar, I think our eminent panelists have actually thrown a lot of light on what are the key criteria or core skills what one needs to build a career in tech in non-tech or in any industry. So I would say that we are anticipating a great future availability of open positions across the sectors for techies. So with that, I would thank all the panelists, and it was a very interesting discussion, and I like all the points what you all made, and we hope that we are able to take strong point to all our participants, and also would like to thank the participants for patiently hearing through what opinions all our experts had. Thank you so much, Munira, for hosting this so efficiently and effortlessly.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you, everyone, for making this a great session, interesting. We have a lot more questions. We, give assurance to all our audiences that we will answer them separately to you. We will reach out to our panelists and come back to you for that. Thank you very much once again, and hope to see you soon. Take care. Good day.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you.